Hello to all of my sickly, sickening bitches, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing a little mid-season review of RuPaul's Drag Race. What the fuck? Drag Race? RuPaul's Drag Race Global All-Stars. Because this season has been causing a lot of controversy online, and I wanted to talk about it. Jack Fed recently made a video talking about this stuff, and I think we need more videos about it. Because I think it's important to call out when seasons Drag Race are produced well. This video is going to be on the shorter side this week. I have COVID as I'm filming this. I feel mostly fine, but I just am not in the mood for filming for, like an hour and then cutting it down, I'm in the mood for filming for a subtle 25 minutes. So we're just gonna do that, and we're just gonna go through each of the episodes of this season so far and talk about the pluses and the minuses, and all that is contained with it. If you do enjoy this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it, as always. I do plan on the next video on this channel being another How Would I Judge video of an older season. So when this video comes out, I'm going to put out a poll for that. So if you haven't already, by the time this video comes out, a poll should already be out asking which season y'all want to see. So please let me know, because I'd love making those videos for you all. So yeah, let us just get straight into it. Okay, so for this video, we're actually going to be starting with episode 3, because I don't really think there's much wrong to say about episodes 1 and 2. I think episodes 1 and 2 were judged pretty fairly. Were there some things I would change with the judging? Yes. But I think all of the decisions that did end up being made by the judges and by production, I understand those decisions, and I don't think any of those are necessarily riggery. I could completely see somebody who is just unaffiliated with these contestants, with everything, come to the same conclusion that the producers did and the judges did on terms of who should be in the top and stuff. So I'm not going to talk about those episodes because I feel like they were judged pretty fairly overall. Going into episode 3 though, which was the Queen of Mystery Ball, let's just talk about the situation. So our bottom 3 contestants in this ball were Athena, Soa, and Miranda Lebrau. And I just do not understand why these 3 were in the bottom at all. It just screams to me, oh god, we can't let Kitty or Queen leave this early. We have to send one of these other girls home. And they decided that Athena, Miranda, and Soa did the worst out of the non-English speaking Drag Race season girls. And if you're choosing those 3 as doing the worst out of that crew, I could understand that. If you're removing Alyssa, Queen, and Kitty from the conversation and who's not the bottom 3, I could understand a world where somebody chooses Athena, Soa, and Miranda. I think if those 3 people are just acts from the situation, I can get that. But that's obviously not what happened. Queen and Kitty were there, and they were so the bottom 2. It's so obvious to me that they're the bottom 2 in this episode. I mean, their outfits for the both of them, they just weren't serving. Queen had a good outfit in there. I think it was Queen's. I forget if it was the first or second outfit. I forget which order the categories went in, but there was one of Queen's outfits I did really like. But none of Kitty's outfits really were above the bottom 3 of their category. And Queen's final outfit, I remember for certain, was, I think, actively my least favorite in that category. It was so plainly obvious that they were in the bottom for this challenge. But no, they're trying to save Queen, Kitty, and Alyssa because they have all been judged by RuPaul before. And it very much gives the vibe of they were going to save these 3 no matter what. And just based off of the first episode, you know that regardless of how well or how bad these 3 do, they're gonna be in the fucking top 4 of the season, or at least like 2 of them are gonna be in the top 4 of the season. They want these queens from these, you know, seasons that get larger viewership to get to the end of the season if they can. But, you know, they have to do that authentically. And honestly, the way that this season is going authentically, like, I can absolutely see a universe where Alyssa and Queen get to the end just fully based off their own merit. Like, you should not watch this video if you don't want to be spoiled on how my judging is going to be for this season when that video eventually comes out. But, like, in my judging at this point, Kitty leaves episode 1 because she loses the bottom 2 lip sync to Queen Kong. But looking at how the Queen and Alyssa have done throughout the rest of the season so far, just regardless of, like, riggery or not, I fully think they're gonna make it, they would make it to the end, just if everything was judged as fairly as physically possible. The only other potential bottom placement I've seen so far was Alyssa for the girl groups, but she honestly didn't even do that, like, she didn't do, like, a great job in the girl groups, but I don't think she should have been the bottom 2 like a lot of people are saying. If we're just going based off of the performances that we saw in the girl groups, then I would probably put, like, Miranda and Pythia in the bottom. And especially also with, like, Athena there in my version of the judging. I think Athena does worse than Alyssa as well, sadly. So, like, I think Alyssa, you know, a worst case for me is, like, low in that challenge, but could also be safe. And so, like, I don't know why. Like, obviously hindsight is 2020. They couldn't have known exactly how well Alyssa, Queen, and Kitty were to do in this competition. You know, there's, you know, they can't be certain on any of these things, but it really sucks that they, like, very obviously from the beginning said, we're going to keep these girls safe throughout until the very end, or throughout the vast majority of this competition. And Alyssa got a high placement this episode, which I don't think was necessarily riggery. I do understand it. I mean, this look, while it is essentially like a kind of like a bodysuit-ish situation, kind of draped in different fabrics, it is still very pretty. And her one look with the briefcase is really fucking sickening. Like, Alyssa's very obviously in the top half of this for me, and could be in the top. I don't think it's necessarily riggery, but, you know, with the fact of seeing what the producers are obviously trying to do, there was no way they were never going to put her in the top for this, considering that she had a potential to be in the top for this. But they do choose Pythia to win the challenge, which, I mean, was very obvious. She absolutely wins this challenge, you know, any configuration. She really killed it. But this episode was just such, like, a disappointment for what was to come, because we were just like, oh, the season's gonna be great, and then we got this, and we're just like, oh, damn it, they're gonna do that, aren't they? Ugh. Okay, the next episode was the girl groups, and I already kind of talked about, like, my bottoms for the girl groups, so we're not going to talk about that. I should have talked about that here, but whatever. But looking at the tops for the girl groups, we had, it was Kitty, Nalania, and Queen Kong. And I don't necessarily think that that's rigged either. Like, I can understand somebody coming to that conclusion again, just fully somebody who's completely removed from the situation, looking at all these performances. I can understand a world where somebody chooses Kitty, Nalania, and Queen as their top 3. But, like, obviously, the people who really had potential to be in the top of this episode, I would say, were Kitty, Soa, Queen, Nalania, and Gala. And those are the 5 I'm like, they did really good. They're, like, the top half of this for me. And so, like, looking at those 5, I personally, out of those 5, would choose Queen, Nalania, and Gala. But very obviously, the producers decided to choose Queen and Kitty because of the reasons you've already mentioned. And also for this, like, pseudo storyline of, like, Kitty not winning the girl group challenge in her original season, even though we already know, like, even though she's part of a girl group in real life, and it's like like, I don't want to sound ignorant when I say this, but, like, being part of, like, a drag queen and being part of a drag girl group, like, that isn't so niche to me. Like, I don't feel like you're reinventing the wheel. Like, I'm not like, "Oh my god, she's in a drag girl group. Oh my god, she's gotta win the girl group like, that thought doesn't occur to me like that, you know? And so, the fact that they spent this whole episode, like, putting on this storyline of, "Oh my god, Kitty needs her redemption for the girl groups," when, like, I don't think that it's, like, it doesn't feel like as exclusive or as notable of a thing as they really made it out to be, was very odd to watch, like, in real time. And also just the fact of, like, I don't really think anybody was, like, pining over, like, "Oh my god, Kitty got so robbed in her girl group. She needs to win this challenge." Like, do I think Kitty, like, if the challenge uh UK season 3 was done individually, do I think Kitty could have won the challenge? Absolutely. I think Kitty was probably would have been like my second or third favorite. I think I would have. Who did I give the win to in my judging of the season? I think the groups are fucked up. Oh, I gave it to the whole group. That's right. That's right. That's right. But if I'm looking at individuals, I'm like thinking River's my favorite, and then probably Vanity, and then probably Kitty. Like, Kitty did really good in that challenge. But, like, I don't know why they were trying to, like, redeem her for this, because it's not like she did bad in the challenge originally. Her group just did worse than the other group, but she did the best, and she was called for it, and the judges were like, "Yeah, you killed it. You're just sorry you got stuck with a shitty team." That was what happened on UK season 3. It's not like Kitty did a shit job. And then we had this thing of like, oh, she's in a drag girl group, but she did a bad job on her girl group challenge. She needs this redemption. If that was the storyline that was happening, I would be more willing to support it. You know what I mean? Because then that feels like an actual storyline. But Kitty, like, while she did win, she didn't do a bad job at all on her girl group challenge. So I don't know why they tried to shove the storyline down our throats, like, as for like why she needs to win this challenge, because it felt shoehorned to me as somebody who's seen UK season 3, and it didn't really make that much sense to me. Like, Gala would have won this challenge for me. She did stellar in this. And I guess we should talk a bit about the everyone versus Melania situation, and I'm gonna talk about it just a little bit right here. I don't want to be the ones spreading hate to contestants, because, you know, I don't think we should be spreading hate to fucking people who are just on a reality competition show. That's not the vibe I want to give, but I do want to display my opinions on the situation and where I think the producers went wrong and where this whole situation kind of went wrong. So in this episode, Nelania, who's in the top, it does a great job, but everybody, like, thinks that she's gonna be in the bottom. And when they get into Untucked, Delania talks about how she's like, well, you know, people were underestimating me, and it kind of made me feel bad, but, like, I did it. And people are like, oh, who was underestimating you, Nelania? And Delania was like, well, everybody kind of was, which is true. I mean, we literally saw it happen in the episode edited like 5 minutes before. We know exactly what the fuck happened, and everyone's like, "Why would you think that, Nelania? How could you think that? No, you're making this about yourself. You're making this about yourself, while these girls here are in the bottom." And they're freaking out. Why are you making this about yourself, Nelene? Nobody ever said that. It's so, like, I don't get it. I really want to see how this situation, like, unfolded in real time, because the edit is so confusing, because it simultaneously showed us exactly what Nelenia said happened, and, like, everyone's feelings. Everybody underestimated her. Maybe not everybody, but the majority of them underestimated her in this challenge and in this competition up to this point. And then she comes back, she comes in the room, and she describes these feelings, and everyone's like, why would you think that? And the confessionals are like, wow, she's so crazy for thinking that. And it's like, we just saw it. What do you mean? What do you mean? What editing is this? You're simultaneously, like, showed us exactly why we should be on Elenia's side, like, before, and then the reaction that we're expecting is, is some of the people who aren't as involved in the situation of underestimating, like Pythia and Tessa and whoever, to be like, wow, these girls they're doing too much. But then no, we get for the people who've been underestimating being like, why would she ever think that? Isn't she crazy? Like, why the fuck did they do this? Why did they edit it like this? It makes no fucking sense. It's just bad TV. Like, this could have easily been edited in such a way that makes this so much better and like more comprehensible and puts everybody in a better light, because it just feels gaslighty when you edit it like this. Like, if they just edit it in a way where like, again, you have like Pythia or Tessa or both just have a confessional, I'm like, yeah, they've been underestimating her, but Natalie's been doing great. And then maybe we get a confessional from somebody saying like, maybe I guess I was. Maybe I shouldn't have been, considering she's in the top this week. Like, and we changed the story arc. We get like a Rise of Nelania edit, Like, this so easily could have been edited in a way that puts everybody like in a better light than it happened. But the way that it's edited puts everybody who underestimated Nelania and Nelania in a worse light, You're making the enemies out of everybody when you very easily could have made everybody like a low neutral to like positive. Like, it so easily could have been edited differently, but they didn't, and I don't understand why this is the way it is. I really don't get it. In episode 3, we had ourselves the acting challenge. I guess it's Barbie inspired, but it's so weird because it's literally just like, it's just jokes about boobs. Which, I mean, jokes about boobs are fine. There's nothing wrong with a joke about boobs. But when you're kind of basing it off of like Barbie in a sense and just being like boobs, it's like weird. But anyways, the judging of this challenge was fucked. Okay, so you have the team very conveniently. Well, they put themselves together, so it's not like the production decided that. But Queen, Kitty, and Alyssa, who win this challenge, win it so very easily. It was not them who won the challenge. It was so Vithia and Melania who fucking killed this challenge. This was easily the best group by far. Like, I don't understand why that other group is in the top. But like, if you want to judge it individually, I can understand a universe absolutely where it's some combination of Pythia, Soa, Nelania, and Queen being in the top. I like that. Any combination of the 3 of those 4, like, I completely get. And Alyssa and Kitty being safe, I would also say sure too. Like, I don't think that's necessarily riggery. I do think realistically, if we're judging this individually, one of them probably should be the bottom. I would say Kitty personally. Alyssa had a funny moment in there for me. Kitty, it didn't give it as much. If we're basing it off of the contestants that were here in this challenge when it happened, some combination of like Kitty, Tessa, and Eva probably. That's my initial like thoughts of it, but that could change. But the fact that they gave all the the UK, the US, and the Down Under contestant the high placements in the win this week was just so blatant, and it's just not fun at all. And they had the bottom 2 of Gala and Eva, and like, Eva, I can understand a bottom placement for in this episode. Like, in terms of the acting challenge, like, again, I think everybody on Pythia's team did better. I think Queen did better. I think Alyssa probably did better. I think Gala and Vanity did better. Like, she's definitely like a lower bottom for me. But Gala, I think, was pretty damn funny in the challenge. Like, Gala was never in consideration for the top for me, but was also never in consideration for the bottom. Perfectly safe. And so I just don't understand that bottom placement there for her. I really, that just doesn't track for me at all. And the fact that Eva goes home here is just very disappointing as well, because she is one of the contestants that I think up to this point when you're watching the season, you're like, damn, they really are favoring these queens. But I bet you some queens like Pythia, Eva, they're gonna rise to the occasion, and then Eva just fucking gets eliminated, and you're just like, oh, damn it. It just sucks. This episode's gripe is mainly the tops judging, because it's just so blatant that they're like, yeah, we're favoring these girls. And you can tell literally on all their faces once they are in the top three that everyone's like, well, none of us are winning this season, and it's so sad. Like if you're gonna go in having like 3 of your top 4 already locked from the beginning, like why are we even having a competition? Like I understand, like there definitely like are some contestants that like in previous seasons of Drag Race, just seasons of Drag Race overall, that the judges and people like from the jump are like, oh, we want to see you in the finale. But like if it's just one person, like I kind of like I get it. If you aren't gonna force them there, like I I don't like it from like a viewer of a reality competition show perspective, because I want the possibility for anything to happen. But like from a showrunner perspective, when I see that Sasha Colby is on my Drag Race cast, I'm gonna say, oh, Sasha Colby's gonna make it to the end if we can do it. You know what I mean? Like from a showrunner perspective, that's absolutely something that I would also probably be thinking about. And from a viewer perspective, if it's just like one person, I know that they're like realistically pushing. Like it's kind of annoying, but like I don't mind it that much. It doesn't like turn me off the show completely. But the fact that there are 3 contestants that are so very obviously being pushed the entirety of the season so far, it really like pushes me away from the season. It makes me not want to watch it. I am still gonna finish it though, because I'm halfway through. I'm committed at this point. But it is just really annoying as a viewer of television. And last but not least, we have the design challenge. I couldn't find good screenshots of the looks, so I just decided to be the funniest thing to grab this picture of Kitty from the mini challenge. Looking at the judging this episode, it isn't really super favorable. Like I do think there was a little bit of favor towards Queen Kitty and Alyssa, but it's actually not that bad in this episode, I would say. I mean, Queen was in the top originally, and I completely agree. Her outfit was my second favorite of the night. And Kitty and Alyssa were both safe, which I don't necessarily think is riggery. I do definitely actually think Kitty should be safe in this episode. It is very similar to the one dress she wore earlier in the season, but it looks pretty well made, all things considered, and I think it fits the brief. And so, like, I have more positives to say about it than any of the ones that were in the bottom 3 in the actual judging. So I completely agree with a Kitty safe here. Alyssa is the one, though, where I'm like, I could consider a low placement for Alyssa, but I honestly don't think I would. Like, I know the proportions aren't proportioning as well, but like in my mind, very clearly, Vanity and Soa had different issues with, you know, their construction of their outfits that are obvious to see. And so those are like the clear 2 for me. But then looking above that, I'm like, okay, who are the 2 that have some issues with like the presentation? And those are like Alyssa and Gala. But I honestly still prefer Alyssa's over Gala's. I find the placement of the flowers on Gala's and the overabundance of hip padding, one should say, a greater sin in this context than the lack of like body and shape that Alyssa was serving. And I'm not saying you have to serve body, but I do think the shape of the garments and the shape of what you're wearing should be interesting. And Alyssa's shape wasn't interesting, whereas I think Gala's shape was a bit too interesting. So I do think I preferred Alyssa's over Gala's in the grand scheme of things. So I don't necessarily think this episode's judging was super rigged. But the one thing that I see very clearly is that they so very clearly don't care about Gala anymore. They're just throwing her to the wolves. She isn't giving them exactly what they want, so they're just gonna chuck her there, even though I think very clearly Vanity did worse in this challenge. It's pretty clear to me that, like, you know, they have their 3. They have like Kitty, Queen, and Alyssa. And they're like, okay, we gotta round this out. Who else is making good TV? Who else is like doing it in the challenges? Who are the other people we want to see towards the end? I think the judges really love Vanity because of how she did in that first episode, and she's providing good confessionals and stuff. And so they want to see Vanity down the line in the competition. Same goes for Pythia and Tessa. They're also giving good TV. Tessa is like giving good TV in the workroom. Pythia is giving good confessionals. They're both doing really well. They're like, okay, these are our girls that from the international seasons that aren't like well, I guess Canada's also English season, but the ones not judged by RuPaul. uh, Tessa, Pythia, and Vanity, it seems like they're the girls like, okay, we're gonna push these three along with our other three and try and get them deeper into the competition. Push is maybe too big of a word because I don't think there have been really much any riggery for any of them except for Vanity in this one episode. So push, it seems like a strong word, honestly. But it definitely seems like those are the girls that are giving what the judges want more, so they're keeping them around for longer. And so now that we're down to the final 8, I'm like, okay, Gal is leaving next for sure. And then 7, I'm very worried about Nelania. Nelania is doing well as well, but the edit makes us not want to care about Nelania, so I'm afraid that they're gonna throw Nelania to the wolves. Who knows, they might get rid of like Vanity first, and then Nelania, but like that's kind of the vibe I'm getting at this point. So what do you all think about this season so far? Love it, hate it? I'm assuming it's the latter. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you enjoy yourself, leave your thoughts, feelings, and opinions down below. As always, I will leave my Twitter handle linked down below if you want to go follow me on there. Again, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, take care. Bye-bye.